Speaker Pro Tem. So I have obvious concerns with this bill and otherwise with the process in this going forward. The issue I had was more on the, again, everything I've argued in any of these bills moving forward that are under the guise of protection when it's more in the line of restriction. For those that can and are willing to and able to protect themselves, we are pushing legislation like this to keep people from the ability to protect and defend themselves. The hard part for me is seeing, in my background, more along the lines of terrorist attacks. When you have targets, and even our Capitol building is not a hard target. It is easily a soft target. A group could easily get in here and do some pretty devastating things through security. And in doing those things, the people that they would be able to harm would basically be sitting ducks, and that would be us in this legislature or any government building, municipal, county, state, federal, whatever the case may be. I saw a recent attack in Mogadishu where Al-Qaeda-backed operatives entered a building with automatic weapons and were able to do some pretty devastating things to innocent people. Luckily, some of them were armed and were able to return fire and defend themselves. What we are doing with this bill is taking away that ability and opportunity for people to return fire and defend themselves. I think the scariest thing for me is the people that are presenting this legislation don't have the experience or the background that some of us that do know what that does when there is the ability to return fire, when there is the ability to defend oneself from gunfire by using gunfire. It is the only effective way to stop a shooter. You can't simply you do that with less lethal means or otherwise talking your way out of a violent situation. So when you're making less people able to defend themselves, you are increasing the softness of any target, which the building we work in is. 3 floors, 4 if you can consider the basement. So this is there's a lot of people here that don't have the ability, but there are those that do. And taking that limited ability for those that do have the means and the ability, the desire to stop violence with violence, that is the only way you can stop somebody that is willing and able and goal-oriented on committing mass violence, committing violence of hurting and or killing others. So this is an egregious attempt to me to take away the rights of people to do that. And those that are willing and able and have done it, spend a career doing it. The other disappointment I have is when there have been a lot of these bills a lot of us don't agree with, but the fact that there was enough concession and compromise to make something a lot less worse than what it is moving forward from the point that it's introduced to the point that it is signed by the governor. When bill sponsors are not willing to take amendments, it is also disappointing to me. When we're not willing to make simple adjustments to at least make something somewhat less egregious, somewhat less offensive, and somewhat less extreme. And that is what this bill is going to be from start to finish. We're on the tail end of things here on this bill, and it's going to move forward as it is, basically. Not as it was introduced, but when it gets to the House floor and we have more minds that are willing and have the ability to say, hey, this is something that you can make this better by. And the simple answer without any consideration is nope. That's unfortunate. So I think for those reasons alone, I would encourage a no vote. There are many more reasons why this bill and these other bills are not good for any of us, but not good for our constituents, not good for our state, not good for affording people their ability to simply protect themselves. If it was talking about who can win a Nerf war, that would be a different story, because that's something you can survive, even though you might not want to be involved in it. But when we're talking about the acts of violence that are committed with large caliber firearms, the best you can do is maybe a small caliber firearm, maybe a concealed carry. That is why concealed carry is a thing. You can stop gunfire with gunfire. You have bullets both ways, because bullets one way only cause the innocent to be killed or hurt, not giving the innocent the ability to defend themselves by stopping an attack. So I am obviously a no vote. I would strongly encourage a no vote. I'd like to say we've gone a step too far, but we've gone a mile too far this session and last session, but especially this session. And this bill takes a giant leap in just a horrible direction. I encourage a no vote.